Good afternoon. How are you? I'm at Johns Hopkins today, and Holly is having an infusion, which is one of the things that we do to guard against infections and rejection. And so there's a little bit of waiting going on, and it'll be dark by the time we get back to our place. So I thought I'd talk a little bit now. In the news, I am encouraged that Brittney Griner is coming home. She was arrested in February, if you remember, and here it is December. The charge had to do with her possessing a minuscule amount of pot and a vapor, and she admitted to it, first, maybe reluctantly, but she did admit to it. And in a normal case, something as inoffensive in amount as this would have resulted in her getting probably a deferred finding, not even a prosecution. But she pleaded guilty, but she didn't get any consideration for it. And they gave her a multi-year sentence and were sending her to a prison. So this was pretty serious for an offense that here would be dismissed. So people can quarrel with the fact that she should have known better than what she did. But the flip side of that is that what she did didn't deserve the sentence that they imposed. And of the two things that strike me as wrong in any criminal case, it is that the government will over-prosecute, charge for more things than it should, and want to over-punish. Now, this case is a case of certainly of over-punishment, and it is because of our strained relations at this time, and because we had Victor Bout, who's an arms dealer. Any of you, if you saw the movie with Nicolas Cage, I'm pretty sure he was in it. It was sort of built on the kind of arms dealing that Victor Bout does. And ultimately, they made a switch today. So that's where we are with that. President Biden, who approved the deal, has said that this does not mean we've given up on Paul Whelan, who is also in Russian custody. So that's part of the what's going on right now. Look at this thing that's right here. Can you see it? There are these fabulous things all over Johns Hopkins. Now another good thing that's happened is same-sex marriage got congressional protection today, and our Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, is very proud of the fact that she played a role in this as the outgoing Speaker, and I couldn't agree with her more. Raises the question, if I were gay and I ran a bakery, could I deny wedding cakes to couples that were against same-sex marriage? I don't know. Of course not, but it's an interesting thing. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Trump's crazy conduct with classified documents down in Florida continues, and his own team has found 2 more documents that were classified in a facility down in West Palm Beach and turned them over. Do you imagine what would happen if we had a single document the first time? This history here goes like this. He arranged to take the documents from the White House. Some were stored in a place in Northern Virginia. Then he moved them, some to Mar-a-Lago, others to this location in West Palm Beach. He was told to turn over the documents. He didn't. They subpoenaed documents, said they turned them all over, and they hadn't. And now we find that there are more that they haven't turned over. Somebody told me why we can't prosecute this guy yesterday. Hey, Jack, what are you doing? If you really have the clearance, and if you've left The Hague, or even if you're not, phone it in, and let's get going. Charges. It's time for charges, not for BS discovery. Everybody in the world knows what went on. So let's act upon it. That's our situation with Trump. And, some people think I'm being harsh on, Jack Smith, our special counsel. But consider the fact, if I was offered the job, or you were offered the job, one of the first questions you'd ask is, what are my parameters of independence and freedom to follow this case? What can I do? Are you going to give me the independence to do what I think is necessary, Garland? Garland hasn't done that. Would you take that job? Would you take that job just for the publicity? Or would you take that job and agree that these guys are right, that you should be able to, Garland should be able to put it down, kill it, or whatever. So some people are critical that I'm being impatient and should have faith about what Jack Smith is doing. Well, I have some patience, obviously. I mean, things do take time. But how much is the question? And if we're still doing discovery at this late date, when the entire world knows what went on, when we've collected all this evidence, we have all this stuff on the Hill, we have all these documents, admissions, and so on, and we're still collecting evidence, it sounds like we're stalling. It's time to cut a few indictments, or at least criminal complaints. And if they started me tomorrow, by a week later, we could have a charge, in my opinion, against Trump for what he said in Georgia, trying to convert all those votes that went to Biden, that was Biden's lead, to himself plus one vote, so that he could steal that election in Georgia. So, yeah, I've lost faith because I rely on the data points of Garland doing nothing, and it seems to me kicking the can down the road with a special counsel, Jack Smith. And we're in a position now as citizens to say, show me, because nothing less than the democracy is at risk. And given that that is the bigger question, that some politicians think we can wear Trump out. We don't have to indict him. We would divide the country if we did it. These are all excuses for failure to do what's necessary to protect our government against autocrats who, if they get through, as Trump has gotten through in the past, when people said he would go nowhere, we have only ourselves to blame for trusting leaders who don't have the courage to do what's necessary to prosecute the first and only seditious conspirator in American history, and who's done this with so-called leaders of our country and without recourse, without an accounting being made necessary. So whether it's the papers in Florida that were classified, or the demand coercing the Secretary of State in Georgia, or what happened in New York in connection with the various criminal conduct of Trump, or happened in the New York State, what happened there. I mean, there's such an array of wrongdoing, and that no one is doing anything about it except jamming, not performing. So here I am in my vestibule at Johns Hopkins, and I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. I hope from the country.